Well, Don, thanks so much for coming on today and talking with me.
Sure.
I'm a total newbie at this, so
Me too. You know me. I don't even use computers.
you don't use computers.
Nope. I'm a caveman, a Luddite,
Yeah.
down to the core.
We were just talking a second ago. You said you pay all your bills, you get them in paper. Well,
Yep.
you write a check and just
Right.
send it off. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is going to be real interesting because in the near future here, you're not going to be able to use checks very much.
Really? What's happening?
Every store you start going into now has checkouts without, people, without cash registers.
Oh, yeah.
And because right now I go to the Home Depot a lot. And every time I've gone through the self-checkout line, it takes 2 or 3 times longer because they go, oh, sorry, we'll have to, let me do something. They play with their computer and then they come back and look at my check and then they run it and then they play with their computer. And well, Walmart just got rid of all its cashiers.
Wait. Walmart doesn't have any cashiers anymore?
Don't think so. You have to do self-checkout.
What? Wow, this is news to me.
Yeah.
I don't visit Walmart too
Not that-
often.
I get that from another source because the only time I ever go into a Walmart is to buy blinds for apartments that I'm working on.
Yeah.
They have things like that. So
So you typically use check as well when you go to Walmart or any place like that?
Because I have a checkbook in my pocket because I don't want to leave it in my truck when I'm not in it. And it's my record keeping system. So when
Nice.
it's time to do taxes, I take the 5 or 6 of these from the year and just go flip, 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 and do it rather than depend that it's online because, my other half has lost tons of information when her computer has failed.
Oh, yeah. That happened to my brother Philip
Yeah.
with I don't know the exact circumstances, but his hard drive within his computer just failed. And he had most of it backed up, but there were certain things here and there that weren't fully backed up. And that's something I'm actually working on right now. I have some external hard drives where I've stored all my files for like the last
Yep.
20, 30 years of my life. Like I have stuff since, grade school even on there still. And I thought, yeah, if there's a fire in my apartment or something. And
Well, yeah, but you can't stop that because think if you were only on paper and you had a fire, it'd all be gone also.
True.
If you can figure out what's the most important stuff and stick it on the cloud, I guess. But
Yeah. And I bought some cloud storage recently as well. I bought some extra
yeah,
storage.
I mean, I bought her 300 or 400 gigabytes of backup like yours, and of course she just went boop and filled that.
It's easy. Especially like even if you're taking photos or videos or anything, it takes up so much storage space. It's crazy.
Right, that's what they want.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I definitely I used to be way more into like just organizing, maintaining my files and like making sure they're all, anymore I'm just like whatever. Like maybe I'll revisit this stuff in a couple decades, but it's not worth my time, I don't know. But yeah, just storing and organizing it is definitely a hassle.
Which I
time
understand
consuming.
totally because you've seen my warehouse.
Yes.
I just moved. I told you when we were there the other day is that I've just moved 22 boxes of LPs.
Wow.
35 boxes of books and 24 boxes of glass and pottery.
Whoa.
Just packed all that, moved 5 coffee tables, 7 or 8 chairs, and those are all just things that were in place at the other house.
Yeah. And this was just within the past week this happened?
No, probably about 2.5 months. Took me that long to
Okay.
pack, sort, put it together, and move it out of the space that she wants in our house.
Gotcha. Well, I tell you what, let's talk about that for a second for people listening. Like just what you do to phone calls.
I get a lot.
Wait, I don't hear myself anymore. Do you hear yourself? Hello? Testing?
Can you still? We just lose it?
I mean, it's still getting picked up here, it looks like. Here, say something.
Did I pull something? Did we?
No. Test.
You don't hear me.
You don't hear yourself anymore through
No.
here, do you? Interesting.
So you don't know if we're recording it or not.
It is recording though. I see like the digital like waveform
Sure.
like every time we're talking. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we don't need these now. Yeah. It is what it is.
So, what were you going to ask?
Yeah, let's talk about what you do for a living and how long you've done it, and just like a little background about that.
I'm a handyman now, and I started when I was in high school working with guys who had properties. In the summer, I would do handyman work with them on their properties. And the reason I was okay with that is that my father, raised in a depression, never got rid of anything. Pack rat like I am, I got it, legally, normally. And we had anything we had at the house, we fixed ourselves. So high school was just an extension of finding something that I could do. And then after that, I worked at various jobs, cooking pizzas, doing this, working in restaurants. But I finally came back to being able to do repairs. And after high school, I actually came back and got a job with a guy who was an appliance repairman. So for Maytag and GE and all that kind of jazz. And I learned the business through him and then repaired appliances for about 7 or 8 years in Ohio and Cincinnati and Kentucky. Worked out of Erlanger. And then I got bored with that because they came on with electronics, and I still have trouble. I have dyslexia really badly, and I didn't find that out until I was in my mid-20s.
Oh, really? So you didn't know all through school that you had dyslexia?
Oh, I took most of my tests and everything by listening to the teacher speak in class, reading what I could possibly discern out of the books, and winging it. Graduated from a college prep school with no language that I got my guidance counselor to go to the bat for me over a 2-year period and saying that I wasn't going to be able to learn a language, period. And if they didn't let me out of it, I wouldn't have graduated.
Wow.
So.
It's amazing that something like that could hold you back from getting a degree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank God that I had a logical mind and could put things together and take them apart and fix things, because I wasn't going to do it by reading books.
Yeah. Definitely more hands-on kind of person.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done the rest of my life, is solve problems with my hands. And, I painted for about 14 years too, because I found a guy who needed some work. We started working together. We started working together more and more and more. And the only thing he could do was paint and repair things. Couldn't do any fixing things. So we started doing that. And then when he got arthritis and couldn't do it anymore, I went back to doing what I used to do, and that's fixing things, which is what I love to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you own a warehouse as well.
Right.
And you have it just like chock full of all kinds of really cool stuff.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that. So I know you go to fairs, and where do you acquire some of these items?
Well, I don't acquire much of anything anymore, but I always thought I was going to either rehab that building, and in my earlier years when I was interested in modernism, I thought I'd build a glass house. So I collected glass panels. I had a company downtown that whenever they did repairs and they had great big large glass panels, they'd give them to me.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, the building is filled with building materials that I thought I would be building a house with. And the way the warehouse came about is that I'm such a collector and a pack rat. I had 6 or 7 garages around the city. So I've been fortunate in my life. I bought my first house for $1, and 13 years later sold it for $38,000. And then I bought the second house for $1,000 down. And so when I got around to looking, I said, I need a place that instead of all these garages, parents, friends, things like that, things I'm renting, I started looking for a commercial building. For about 5 years, I looked for a commercial building. And the warehouse has an interesting story too. So I found the warehouse, and I went to the realtor, and he said, yeah, come on in. We'll get the doctor in, and we'll sit down and have a conversation about it. So I said, well, great. Because I found out I could borrow money. It was tough because I went to every bank in the city, and they said, oh, Mr. Deters, you don't have bad credit, but you're self-employed. We'll give you 20 grand and you can get the rest from somebody else. Well, if you know anything about banking, is nobody wants a second. They want the first loan. Because if you're ever going to default on a loan, the first collects first, second collects second, third, fourth.
I was not aware of this.
No, yeah. So, and I said, well, I need $100,000. What are you guys talking about? They said, but it was in that time period just before the recession where if you were breathing, you could sign papers and get a mortgage.
Nice.
$8 an hour people could get a mortgage on a house. Now,
crazy.
Those are the people that all lost their mortgages, of course. But I had a paid off house, so I was only looking to convert it into a loan, not looking to borrow money with just on my good name. Mm-hmm. So I found somebody and they said I was creditable. And we sat down with the doctor at the real estate guy's booth, and the realtor and I are talking before he shows up, and the doctor comes in and sits down. I said, well, Doc, why don't we start? I'll throw out some numbers, or you throw out some numbers, and I'll throw out some numbers, and we'll see if we can meet somewhere in the middle and have a conversation. The man sat there. He never looked at me. He looked at the realtor, and he said, you tell that SOB if he wants to buy my building, he'll pay full price or he can go F himself.
Wow.
And I
that's pretty aggressive.
Whoa. And that was kind of the end of that conversation. I shook the realtor's hand and got up and left. Well, a year later, I called that realtor back saying, hey, I'm still looking for property. What else you got? He said, well, he still had the building. I said, well, yeah, but I'm not going to talk to that, jerk. And he said, well, the doctor isn't as much a jerk now because he's getting divorced. And if he doesn't sell that building mucho pronto, he's going to be in deep doo-doo. And
he's in a bit of a bind.
Right. So we went back and had a conversation. The price came down. He made, it was wonderful. So I went and borrowed money. I was walking around downtown the day after I signed on my loan. So I had a check for $119,000 in my pocket. Walking around, I went someplace and they had breakfast going, ooh, this is scary.
Carrying that much on you in your pocket, yeah.
So that's how I got the building. And when I bought the building, I said, I'll never, ever fill this. This will be great because I'll always have room.
Yeah.
And by having been there, that you can always expand to fill the space you've got.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if there's a name or a law for that, but I know that kind of reminds me of Parkinson's law, which is the amount of time you have to complete a task is the amount of time it will take. So if I give you a day to do something, you'll do it in a day. If I give you 3 months, you'll get it done in 3 months. Mm-hmm. So just like time, but I guess this is a kind of a similar concept of like the amount of space you have, you will find a way to fill it.
Yeah. Well, everything you see then you can say, oh, I might use that someday, and you can pick it up.
Yeah.
Because you got a place to stuff it.
Yeah, it might as well. It's just like,
right.
Did you have a pickup truck or something? Do you just like cruise around in a pickup truck and just like throw stuff in the back? A van. Yeah, van's the way to go.
Yeah.
If it rains, it's covered.
Well, I mean, when I was in the early days of collecting, you could drive around the city on garbage day and find amazing things. My mom got me interested in antiques. And then I said, well, maybe I could sell some of the stuff I find. And I went into an antique mall and I peppered the whole antique mall with stuff I'd find on the curb and clean up. And I started out loving antiques, went to arts and crafts, and then saw modern, saw that it was just amazing because it was like modernism was every possibility in the universe was promised by modernism. Flying cars, everything, robots, all this neat, crazy stuff, and I moved into that and just never looked back. So
yeah, in your warehouse, we go up to the second floor and we'll sit in your little room that has some chairs and your record player. And we'll have a couple drinks. And I know you have a lamp there that is like straight out of like some 1950s, like future retro.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. That thing is awesome.
And that's a dentist lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be mounted on a ceiling, and I mounted it onto a pole, and it's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, you have some really cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
So as far as trying to find people to buy your stuff, do you post anything online? I know you said you don't use a computer.
No.
So is it just all like relationships that you have with people and you just check in with people periodically? Or how does that work?
I've been in antique malls and done antique shows I'm 65, and so I've probably been doing those for 30, 35 years. And that's how I did it. And sell to other dealers and everything like that. And now the antique mall business is pretty much dead. And I've got rid of a whole lot of stuff. So I'm really down to seeds and stems on the antiques and modernism stuff anymore. Now I just have my stuff because, hey, if you got good stuff, you can appreciate it. Why do you always need more all the time?
Yeah.
So
True. We don't need materialism, you know? You got what you need?
I'm totally a materialist. I'm a maximalist, not a minimalist.
Yeah.
But,
I'm like the complete opposite. As you can see, like, this is my space here.
Oh, yeah. Hey, and I'm
Little
jealous.
tiny box. I'm glad I got into minimalism while I'm still young. Before I, bought the big house. And, well, now I need to fill all these rooms. And, So, yeah, I'm happy that, like, eventually I want to live out of a van. And just, like, travel the United States, maybe go into South America. Who knows how, extensive this road trip will be. Visit all the national parks, landmarks, cities. But I love the idea of just having everything, being able to pack it in one vehicle. And it's like, that's everything, all my earthly possessions. And maybe one day get down to just a backpack. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe that I can never get there.
No.
But
I just had coffee yesterday with my traveler friend. He travels all the time. And he's been to Antarctica 3 times as a carpenter and spent 6 months at a time being there, and then come back from Antarctica a different way around the planet each time. Been in Europe. He hasn't been to Asia, but he crisscrosses the country here probably 3, 4, 5 times a year, hanging out with friends, doing things. He's got a piece of property out near Taos that he's been working on building a house for 20 years, 25 years. It's because he goes out
project.
and he might do, 2 weeks worth of work and then travel and not even see the house for a year.
wow, this guy's living the life.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is. He is.
mean,
And
in a
he's
lot of ways.
He's done things like take care of a mountain for people that own half a mountainside, and he keeps an eye on that property for 6 months.
Is it like a property and like a garden and crops and other kind of stuff, or
I
how
have no
extensive
idea.
is
He
it?
just said he was taking care of a side of a mountain for some people.
Hey, yo, tell your friend to hit me up. I'm down to like watch over some mountains if he knows some people.
Yeah. So that's.
Wow.
But I saw him yesterday. He was getting ready to get back out of town. He's going to go see his father up north and then head west.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Man, living it. He's doing it.
Yeah, he's doing it. So.
Oh. I like it. Yeah, eventually, so I made like a whole list of things I want to accomplish because I'm 28. So I'm still relatively young. But definitely once I hit, I don't know which birthday it was in particular, but maybe like my 25th birthday, and then 27 and 28, it's like, oh man, I'm like approaching 30. I'm no longer a young buck in his early 20s, And I got a little more serious about just like planning my life and figuring out what I want to do. So I created an entire list of goals of like, here's all the things I want to accomplish.
Okay.
And one of the things is this little show here. Like this is something I wanted to do in addition to like, making music and creating my own band and then whatever, like living out of a van. So it's inspiring for me to hear about people who are doing this with their lives, where they're just traveling around and like, is this guy married? Does he have kids? Was he ever?
Nope. Had been in relationships here and there, but no.
Nice.
And he has friends in every city in the nation, probably,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he usually has places to stay, or if not, he just camps out, takes
Little
it
tent.
easy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if he's got a trust fund or whatever, or how he does it, but, I've always wondered that about people who travel on a regular basis that aren't well-to-do. Because they used to say there's 2 ways to travel. You either have all the money on the planet or you have none.
It's like people in between, they just like choose not to travel?
Well, they have to pay for everything. When they travel, they have to have hotel rooms, they have to have place, they have to have this, they have to have that, and that all costs big money for somebody in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
If you have lots of money, anywhere. But if you have none, you just go.
You're like, I will figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And that's more so what I want to do. Like, no money. Let me just go. I'll get in a tent. I will, sleep in a hammock somewhere if it feels safe. I'll couch surf. I'll just knock on people's doors like, hey, I'm Ben. Can I stay here? Yeah, like I'm down for it. I like the adventurous aspect of it because I feel like I'm an adventurer at heart. Like I just want to go out and explore and conquer things.
Well, it'll be interesting because, the nice thing about being out there is that you find both ends of the shtick. You found how amazing people really are and how amazingly horrible people really are.
Yeah. So I'll definitely have to have my spidey sense engaged.
Yeah.
Sixth sense, like, what's the vibe here? How do I feel about this person?
When to know not to get upset by the total asshole because they might beat you up. And if you just go and move on before it happens, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. That's typically how I operate in life. Like, all right, let's not escalate things. Let me just all right, I'm just
my
going to let
other
it go.
half is pretty opinionated. And I've actually told her quite a few times, I said, whatever, she said, well, what about this? What about that? I said, hey, wherever we go, if you get me into a fight, I'm going to kill you. I'm not getting in a fight. You're getting in a fight and they don't beat up the girl. They beat up the guys with.
Yeah.
Yeah, you call somebody a bunch of names and everything like that and then go, hey, defend me. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want this.
That's right.
So what kind of stuff does she say to people? Is it just people being rude and she'll just be like, oh, you shouldn't be that way.
Right. Stuff that they're the rude ones and they should just go, but, they don't. They escalate the situation and then she won't stand for it.
Self-righteous, like, no,
that's correct.
This will not stand.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think I would be down for that. That'd make me a little nervous.
Right. Well, there's like people of the different political persuasion than us.
Yeah.
Well, she won't have dinner with them because they're of the persuasion that she doesn't like. So we don't.
What if they're like seemingly good people though? Because I know a lot of people.
And she would probably say, good for them.
And just like, but no, I don't want to associate with those people.
Right.
You know what? To be honest with you, when like the 2016 election was happening and all that stuff was going down, I allowed myself to get roped into the mania, and just following it daily and all this stuff, and allowing myself to get like emotional and worked up and upset.
Everybody did.
Yeah, so it just became crazy. And then at a certain point, I realized, like after the election, like this is not healthy for me, and it's not serving me.
Right.
So at that point, I just completely tuned out from everything. So it's been like a year and a half, maybe like 2 years.
Since you followed politics? Right?
Not even politics, just news. I don't even know what's happening. I am willfully ignorant. Oh,
but
life is so much better. Well, and here's the thing as well. People say that's like irresponsible because, you should be informed. You should make a difference. But I don't have the power and influence to make a difference yet. I can still vote.
I just think you should be informed before the election.
Agreed. And I don't need to be informed 2 years before it happens.
Because that's just what the guy who's in office right now, that's what he loves to do is stick a little pin in somebody and get a reaction. And that's all.
Give me the attention. Give it to me.
Right. He just, as much as he can give people something to go bitch about, that's what his goal in his life, not making it better for all of us.
No. It's so funny when I would talk to certain people and they would look me in the eye and be, I'd say like, yo, look at some of the things that Trump has said or done. It's like, he doesn't seem like a role model for kids. Like, he doesn't seem like a good person. I mean, not that he's all good or no one's all good or bad.
He shouldn't be a role model for anybody because even those people support him. If you look at his history, that there's nothing he's done in his history that's been for other people. He built a lot of his buildings, and one of his business models was that for the little contractor, he wouldn't pay him and wouldn't pay him.
Like, this isn't perfect.
Until they went out of business, and then he didn't pay him.
Yeah.
So he made money by.
And I brought these stories up to people as well, too. Like, what about these stories of all these people who lost their small businesses?
They'd say, they're not true.
Right? So I came to the conclusion as well.
You know what they say? You can't fix stupid.
True. I mean, can you educate stupid though? Like maybe you're just the right information.
It's really interesting because they found that now that people just are on their side, and since they changed a law that said that most news organizations had to present both sides. They weren't allowed to just present one side. They had to present two sides.
When was this passed?
I can't remember if it was Reagan or earlier.
Oh, okay, so this has been a while now.
Which is when Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and people like that came online, and they just were in the, he's not the worst president we've ever had, because if you read back through history, you've seen some other presidents are just incredibly horrible. And the division is not as bad as it's been before, too, or we wouldn't have had a civil war.
Yeah.
But they used to call those people that do what these people do muckrakers. They're muckraking. That means they...
It's like journalists in particular they were referring to doing this? Muckrakers?
People that would stand up and do... Because a lot of times the way people got information out is they'd stand on the street corner and have, scream at the top of their lungs about what's going on and how bad people are. And then people would hear it, and then they'd talk to other people, and they'd do this. Because early in the country, there weren't newspapers. There was word of mouth.
Wow.
Leaflets. You'd get a leaflet where, only the people in maybe a 3-block or a mile area would get that information.
What a crazy way to transmit information. Like, that's just so foreign to me, that idea. Living in the age that I live now.
Yes and no, because we've lost 2,000 local newspapers in the last so many years. And now there's nobody to defend the locals. If corruption goes on, or if there's a politician doing bad locally, hey, you don't get it on your website. You only get the big oversized picture and everything. And so they were saying that in the last 10 years, people that are doing things that aren't getting picked up and caught because there's not a bunch of investigative journalists. They got rid of all of them. They're trying to make a buck online, but online they have to do something a lot more general, or nobody's going to buy their news because it goes online. There's not, even though there's an Enquirer online, it's kind of like, what's the newspaper, World News or whatever?
Yeah, I've heard of this.
It's more like World News with a blip or blap of something local. And a lot of times it's about entertainment or something, not investigative reporters doing months of paid journalism to find out if there's a politician that's screaming money off the top of something and we should get rid of that guy or anything like that.
So everyone's just trying to get like quick clicks. Like, let's just have like a headline that really grabs people, clickbait, as they call it.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I came to the conclusion, which I guess maybe it's not that profound, but when all this like politics stuff was going on, I realized what everyone does, and this is everybody, everyone chooses what they want to believe and they stick with it. And it's like, okay, I found my tribe, I found my beliefs, now I'm just going to coast. And I'm going to stop challenging what I believe to be true now.
Remember, they changed in that law that said you had to tell both sides of the story. So that's even easier to do now because you can just listen to your side endlessly.
Yeah. Well, especially with like social media, Facebook or other services or YouTube, they see what you're watching or reading, and they give you more of the same. So now you're living in some echo chamber where it's like your beliefs you already currently hold are just being reinforced and reinforced and reinforced.
Right.
And so it's, you can't even see past.
Right. My line on that is I really am tired of being America. I really would love to go back to being American. Because Americans used to take care of each other, used to make sure we were handled, used to make sure that our people were looked after. It didn't, there was a time in history here when there was a thing called Monopoly. It's Ohio and the people that had all the money in the United States and had people working for them for 10 cents a year.
Wow.
And we got rid of the monopolies for the most part, broke up. And then again, after...
Is that Teddy Roosevelt?
Those, it might have been, something like that. And then again, during the
FDR,
60s...
Did FDR do it as well at some point in the 40s?
I don't remember what period it was, but in the 60s, we did it again with phone companies and corporations and things like that. Well, monopolies are back now.
Oh, yeah, we need it again, for sure.
Amazon and places like that, Google, that have all the control of the whole planet for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I use Google search.
yeah.
I have Gmail. I have Google Drive where
Yeah.
where I like type up all kinds of documents and all kinds of, And so
And every single one of it's recorded by them.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're learning more about me with every single word I type in
Yeah.
there. And so for the longest time, it's funny. So I have a degree in network engineering. So
Uh-huh.
I'm an IT guy. So I'm all about the technology. And for the longest time, I held off on getting, like, I never wanted to get into like social media, Facebook. I was a holdout. Like I got one years after everyone else did. And
Sound like me?
yeah, exactly. You held out a little longer and better than me. But even like Google Drive or stuff, I was like, I don't know if I want Google to know more about me. Like I don't want them having more and more information. And I held off on getting a Gmail account with them, like email through them.
I don't have an email account either.
But at a certain point, that's amazing. You don't even have one email account?
Yeah. Wow. And it's been a problem because a lot of places want email or they won't deal with you.
Yeah. So what do you just like talk to somebody in person about this and just try to
So
make
far, I
some
only
arrangement?
have one place that says that I cannot do business with them, and I have to if I don't have an email account, and I have it through my other half's email account.
So you give them her email account.
She gives them her email account when we have to do business with them because I don't know how to go online and do it. In fact, we just went back online with them. It was the elevator inspecting company for City of Cincinnati. They decided they were going to go online. I said, okay. And so I said, but you have to send me a bill because I don't know how to do computers. And they sent me a bill. I wrote them a check. I sent it to them. 2 months later, the check comes back and says, you're late because we don't do checks.
Well, they could have told you sooner.
And so they said, and by the way, we're going to disconnect your elevator unless you pay your bill.
Whoa. Well, damn.
I know. So she set that up and we paid them. And this recently they came back and said, oh, well, we're having, we need some new information. Send it to us online. So we went online to send it to them. And the account's not there anymore. And we tried to sign up. And their website is so convoluted that we couldn't figure out how to sign up. And she uses a computer.
Yeah.
She's...
Well, I tell you what, I go on certain websites and, like I understand technology better than your average person.
Yeah.
And sometimes certain websites, it's like, what is going on here? Especially with big cable companies where they've consolidated like, oh, Spectrum and Time Warner and Insight. And now they're all kind of one. And they have like 20 different phone numbers you could call for the same thing, and you're getting redirected and rerouted, and like the web page is different here or there. It's like, which one am I using?
Well,
is
there's
this the same
that
account?
Monopoly thing happening too, because you
Yes.
gotta, after you shuffle the cards, you have to play them out, and sometimes it takes a long time to get them skirted back around again, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But I actually called all the numbers and left 4 or 5 phone messages to have this guy call me and walk us through the system so we can pay the bill. It's been 2 weeks now.
They're just not reaching back out to you, or
No, and this is the second time because when we first came up with it, I called every number on the mailing that they sent us, and nothing either. So I'm going to have to go over to the site and say, hey, where is he? I want to talk to him now. And they're going to say, oh, he's not here. And I'm going to go, well, then, here, let me just go in and dump in his and put my business card in that pile of shit because he's not calling me back. How do I take care of this business if I'm not a genius? So,
Oy. Well, unfortunately, I think things are going to get more technologically driven.
yes.
Right? It's going to get crazy.
My God, I've just been reading the Times, and there's companies all over the planet now that are trying to figure out how to make it so they don't need people to do it too.
Oh yeah, let's
'Cause they're-
automate everything. with
AI is
machines.
coming on with such a, everybody said, oh, robots will be so cool and so great. And I said, only if you're rich.
Yeah. So here's the way I could see it playing out. There's like 2 possible scenarios. I mean, I'm sure there's like an infinite number of possible scenarios, but these are the main 2. And I think the more likely version is what you just said. The rich are going to get richer, or they're like at least consolidating their power. They're going to be rich forever now, like their families.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us are going to be poor masses, like just trying to scrape by, because they don't need us anymore.
No.
At that point. And a lot of people who are in positions of power, it tends to attract people who are psychopaths or sociopaths. Like the number of like CEOs who have psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies
Well,
are way out of like the statistical norm of the average
and
population.
it makes sense, unfortunately, because they're the ones who will make decisions at everyone else's expense as long as it benefits them, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like life is all just a big game to them.
Yeah.
They have no empathy for others. So that's a problem because
Yeah.
they have all the power and influence and they don't care about any of us.
Yeah.
They
in
don't
fact,
care.
most of them are sitting in Washington right now that we know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's probably going to happen. But here's the other brighter version of the future that I want to see happen is we have artificial intelligence and machines doing the vast majority of the jobs for us. And then the rest of us can just spend our time living our lives.
But how do you do that if you can't eat?
Well, we have the machines doing our crops and doing all the same stuff.
Got to buy the food.
Do we have to buy the food, though?
Yes. The rich demand that you pay money for something so they can stay rich, because money
true.
doesn't make money on its own. Somebody has to buy their products
Yeah.
or their knowledge so they can make more money, because it's like we used to have Carl Lindner here in this city.
Mm-hmm.
He has his name on billions of buildings all over University of Cincinnati, art, everything like that. He said he would donate money as long as he got his name on something. And at one time they asked him, before the .com boom, he was the third richest man in the United States. And they asked him
Wow.
one time, right, he started out as just a guy with a push cart selling ice cream. And they
Self-made.
asked UDF. He had Provident Bank. He had all kinds of things, you know. He said, Mr. Lindner, you know, you are really well-to-do. And he said, absolutely. He said, well, when will you have enough money? And he said, when I have it all.
Oh my God.
Not when not when I'm old or when my friends this. He said, no, when I have every penny on the planet, that'll be enough.
So he sounds like...
He sounds like somebody in the 1%.
Yes. Whoa.
But, you know, that's what I haven't figured out when people say, oh, well, you know, the rich are doing all these things, blah, 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 and Google and all that kind of jazz. It's like, what are they going to do when they eliminate 90% of the people that are making them money, and those people are not able to make the payments? You know?
Yeah, those people are all expendable.
Yeah. Yeah. Except for them.
Oh, of course.
That's what, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, that's what I haven't figured out is that these places, Walmart, they just got rid of all their cashiers.
Which is crazy to me. How much money are they saving by not paying
Well,
cashiers at every
probably
location?
not much for the first 5 or 10 years.
Because
And
they had to buy all the new
100%.
technology. Yeah.
It's like, you know, they say they were moving manufacturing back to the United States. You know, it's all over in Asia and everything, where people in Asia are actually with their hands building things for pennies on the dollar. They're moving manufacturing back to the United States, but instead of a factory with 2,000 people in it, it's a factory with 5 people doing 2,000 people's worth of job, because the things making the equipment are robots.
So these people are a little more educated, trained, highly trained, and they can just
Make
run the
a little
machines.
more money, but there's only 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only other reason they need people to come in for is when a robot breaks down, they have to fix it. But the robot never gets sick, never takes a day off, never has a vacation, doesn't need Social Security.
Yeah, it can always be fixed and repaired or replaced.
Or thrown out and got a new one.
Yep.
And then they can actually depreciate it, so by the time it wears out totally, it's paid for. Instead of having to
tax
pay
write-off.
instead of paying what do you call it, retirement.
And no pension for the
No
robot.
pension. Right.
Wow.
I never did figure that out. How can a company who's been banking up a pension fund for the workers for 50 years, they go out of business and they rob the pension fund and get away with it?
Well, because
Why
the laws
wasn't-
are written by the rich.
Well, I guess
And they're
that's
all best
probably true,
friends.
because I always said, well, the company should go out of business, but the pension fund should be sacrosanct, and it keeps paying until it runs out of money on its own, not when the company steals the money from it to do something, like pay the CEO a parachute fund or something like that.
Yeah, I was reading something recently. They were talking about how. So say there is some like government reform concerning economic policy, concerning the rich and whatnot. Like, all right, we're going to tax the rich more or whatever. We're putting new policies in place to get rid of current loopholes.
Yeah.
Well, these rich people have so many resources at their disposal. They're not just going to sit back and take it like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting taxed more.
Right.
They can be like, yo, horde of accountants that I have working for me and lawyers and all kinds, like, get at it.
But before they get it all together, at least we would get a little of that money.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
but the common man like me and you, we're not like, we don't know anything about all these intense tax codes
I think
and
it's
laws.
such a joke when they send a robber to jail for 20 years unless he's got a white collar on. And then he gets a way to get
then he gets a bonus.
Yeah, then he gets a bonus.
It's so absurd. We're like living in, I don't even understand, man. So we were talking about the possibilities with AI. So there's the one where basically the majority of mankind just becomes obsolete. And they're like, all right, how can we just like kill these people off and be done with them? Like, we don't need them anymore. Here's the other future that I could envision.
Okay.
The one that I hope happens.
Okay.
Have you heard of a universal basic income?
Yes.
So I could see something like that where like people are just provided enough money to get by. And then if you want to have extra spending money, like, oh, I want a nicer car. Okay, well then you get a job and you save up and earn that.
See, now I think that's, that we're talking about France or the Scandinavian countries. And it's worked for them for almost half a century.
They've UBI there as well, universal basic income.
Well, you can be on the dole there if you stop working and everything, and then you have that, and it's different than our Social Security. It's a basic bit of money that you're given. Well, because of in the Scandinavian countries, France it doesn't have the economy it used to have, and now it's having trouble paying that. Well, now they're trying to adjust the people's attitude, saying that we don't have the money anymore, and they're saying that's not our problem. You have to pay us. So that's why Macron in France and everything's having a hard time, because he's got elected to try to help fix the problem.
People become accustomed to that paycheck.
Right. Well,
free money.
Right, but you need to wean people off, but they're not even going to wean off. And in the Scandinavian countries, what's been happening is Germany took all these immigrants because they're not birthing enough new workers to cover their workforce. So they thought they'd get these immigrants to come in and they'd train them. In the Scandinavian countries, they did it for social reasons. They said, well, we should help these people. They'll come here, we'll retrain them, they'll become part of our system. Well, a vast majority of them came there and became part of their system, all right, but they're not going to learn the language, and they're not going to get work because they're so displaced, their minds are just not going to work that way. It was a great idea, but now there are such an impact on their social network that they're starting to drain the money out of the system. And just like in our country, their indigenous population that are like a lot of like white blonde-haired people that have lived there their whole lives are really getting upset because how come my check doesn't go up if you're giving all these people free money and they weren't even born here?
Yeah.
So it's that I love the idea.
Yeah.
But you tell me what rich person is going to say, I'm going to chop off a chunk of my cheese and give it to the mice because they need it.
Out of the goodness of my heart. Well, let me say this. There are some billionaires out there who I think are genuinely kind, good people.
I agree.
Now, they are definitely in the minority of billionaires. If I had to guess.
There's not many Soroses out there.
There's not. True. Yeah, it's a hard problem. I am very grateful that I came from a good family. Middle class, had a good upbringing. I had a golden retriever. I got a good education.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of things going for me, so I know that no matter what happens, I'll be able to take care of myself.
You at least have had the leg up.
Exactly. I had a good hand dealt to me.
Yeah.
Way better than a lot of people's. And so like these people who are, born into poverty or,
and they don't get a leg up at all.
Yeah, it's like it's a really complex issue.
The one I love too that I talk with people and they go, oh, that's not so. if you look at the pie chart of how the money goes in the United States, from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock is military spending.
What a waste.
Then
not all of it, but
then there's Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, and then there's this one little small space that's discretionary funding for the government, and then there's this tiny little sliver that is this social welfare system. And even though the military-industrial complex and the corporations get a lot more welfare than that little sliver, they all say, oh, those people should work, those people should do this, those people should do that. Whereas really, even the ones that are abusing the system are such a small amount and minority, but they get 90% of the airplay.
oh yeah.
So everybody says they're abusing the system and we should chop off all their funds. Why would I give them money? Because I'm rich and I worked for it. Even if I'm skirting every law. Like I said, I have one friend who's this Republican guy, and he hates everything that's Democratic or helping people or anything like that. On the other hand, he uses his Medicare, his Medicaid, his Social Security,
he loves that, doesn't
every
he?
possible way he can skin the system, he does. And I just have to laugh because it's like, you're such a hypocrite. If it's them, if that's true, you shouldn't be getting a dime or taking a dime from anybody.
Yeah.
If all that's so bad for all
practice
those
what
other
you
people.
preach.
Yeah. So.
Oy, man. Oh, I didn't.
So I'm still doing 50 stuff, having fun time doing that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Even though I put all my stuff in boxes, I'm going to take a break for a little while and, just start enjoying it in the smaller fashion I'm doing it. I just got a chair upholstered that I'm having a good time with. And
Nice.
I went to the doctor for the first time in almost 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And because I just got Medicare.
Okay.
And I said, well, I want to go and have them do, head to toe look. And they didn't take much. They did blood, and we had a conversation. And she, basically said, well, at 65, you're still working, you're still getting up, you're still moving. All your numbers are pretty damn good. You've got high cholesterol, but you have high good cholesterol. So those two balance each other out. So, hey, stop eating grease and have a good time.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay.
So what is the key here, Don? Just like keep moving your body? Is that the key to longevity?
One of the keys is to keep moving because I get up in the morning and I'm stiff. And then as I move during the day, I loosen up. But the other one is to be lucky enough to have good genes. Because I eat anything.
Anything that's placed in front of you.
Everything that's placed in front of me. And I still look like this.
Yeah.
Because I can eat and my belly can expand inches. And in the morning, I look like this.
I am exactly the same.
Right.
I'll go to the casino buffet on Mondays. It's
Yeah.
$7.77. Like, oh, this is a deal. And I will stuff myself where it's like, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And then I'll wake up in the morning and it's like, all right, not bad. Yeah, like my stomach will expand after eating. And then it's just overnight, it just disappears. So yeah, hashtag blessed.
Yeah, I knock on wood, thank my father because, he got thinner as he got older.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, good genes is huge, I guess. That's a pretty big
Yeah,
thing.
that's the one thing she asked me a couple times, the doctor. She said, well, are you depressed? Do you need antidepressants? Are you going to be all right? And I go, I'm really amazed because I get up a lot of days and I walk the dog and I go, boy, what a great day to be alive. It's okay.
You know what? A positive attitude will take you far. So I read a book on telomeres recently. And
what is it?
Telomeres. So they are the caps on the ends of your chromosomes that protect your genetic information in your cells. And every time your cells replicate, your telomeres get a little shorter. And once they get to a certain shortness, you have the possibility of leakage and just errors in, replicating your cells properly. So that's when you start getting disease and other problems. So the longer your telomeres are, basically the better. And they say that positive thinking
Helps keep them?
your cells are listening. So positivity is great for longevity. It's unbelievable. It's just the power of my thoughts and all the feelings associated with those thoughts Like your cells are like, oh, he's happy. We're
Well,
happy too.
yeah. See, now I'm two things that I know about the Deters is that we lived long lives. I had an aunt that was 114, but
Whoa.
we don't live well.
Oh,
You get into the 60s and 70s, and everything starts to go and fall apart.
really?
So my line on that is that if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have either taken much better care of myself or partied a lot harder,
One of the two.
or both.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, me personally, I plan on living to 120.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself. Like, I can live to 120. I can do that. But yeah, I definitely want a
Think
good
how
quality
much
of life.
but it's like we need. And the other thing too is that if we stopped having more population, the earth could take care of itself better. But we need more population because as the other population ages out, they need the younger population to take care of it. And there's that oxymoron on that because we can't feed what we have, but the old don't want to give up their place in line anymore. You know, people used to only live into their 30s or 50s, period, point blank. That was it. And when you knew there was somebody that was old, it was an amazing thing because it was an amazing thing for anybody to live past 60. And now it's on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, I've often wondered that one is that, you know, they say that 20% of all your medical needs will happen, or
Medical expenses.
80% of all your medical needs will happen in the last 20% of your life. How do you pay for that when you're in the last 20% of your life and you don't have that money coming in? Well, that's the government.
Or if you, which is a minority of people, if you actually like save and invest well throughout your entire life.
You know,
But not many people are.
not many people do that.
Regimented
I'm not that
enough
good
and-
at it. And the fact is that it's not taught.
Isn't that unbelievable? Why are we
You
not
know,
teaching this to
why
kids in
isn't there
school?
all through from kindergarten till the
Yes.
day you graduate from school, a required course on how to become self-dependent financially.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. We don't have that.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's been so interesting is that, you know, we just had this depression, and they called it a recession because it sounds better than a depression. But they say that that's all been erased and everything's perfect, everything's wonderful. Again, the recession's over, but it's only over for the corporations, not for the people. And I'll bet you when you're growing up, your parents probably told you of the magic of compound interest. You put your money away, you keep it, and it gets bigger all the time. Well, as of the recession, there is no compound interest. It's for corporations can borrow money at 0% interest. That's why there's been such a rush for recovery. Because, you know, if you're not paying any interest or you're only paying 0.5% or a quarter or something like that,
You're making money.
You're making money, just, borrow
Once you
the money.
factor in
let's go ahead.
inflation. Yeah.
Well, but that took a whole nother possibility for you and me, because I don't know anybody that's in my situation that can go into the stock market and play around and make money. You know, you buy a fund and the fund goes up or down and you cross your fingers. And when it drops 30 points and you lose half of your savings, you're supposed to just sit back and relax because it'll come back someday. You know. Now,
we
if
are not hardwired to operate that way.
If you have millions and millions of dollars, you still freak out, but you still have millions of dollars. For the $5 million you lost, you might have $10 or $15 million left. You know, oh my God, you're poor.
I'm losing my money. No.
Oh my God. And because your consultants will say, that'll be back. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of personal finance books recently. And I wish I had started doing this 10 years ago when I was 18. Because, yeah, you look at those compound interest charts and it's like, oh, here's your money growing. And then 30, 40, 50 years in, it just starts going like growing. Oh, my God. Just going straight up, exponential growth near the end.
Yeah,
It's
because every dollar you made
crazy.
made another penny, and the pennies turned into dollars. And as they turn into dollars, the return gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but I read all these books and I took notes on some of them that were really good. And they were talking about this, how we're not hardwired to just take a loss and just sit on our hands okay, whatever.
Right.
So what they recommended is don't pay attention to any of it. Invest in long-term index funds, play the long game, play the infinite game, and just block out all noise regarding the economy, regarding everything.
Well,
because over the long run, based on history,
yeah,
it's going to come back.
It was really difficult for a lot of people in the recession because a lot of people were retiring or retired in the recession and were living off those funds. And when they dropped by 50%, they couldn't pay their bills.
That is definitely a problem. Yeah, because if you lose half your money and now you're still trying to withdraw 4% or whatever, it's like
the other thing that would change the whole planet is if we stopped having quarterly profits. If it was business makes a profit, you get a little percentage from the profit we make. You don't demand that you get another 5 or 10% return on investment every quarter, bigger than the one before. Because that's what most corporations are based on, is a profit quarterly. If you've got a business that's going to last 100 years, why do you have to make a profit every quarter? When the whole world turns down, you turn down. Well, people shouldn't just dump you. They should wait till the system works again, like you were just talking about, and you'll come back to profitability. Now, the return on investment will be slower until it reaches that again. But that is what is one of the big drivers that is so bad for the whole planet, is that businesses buy other businesses just to sell them off and make a quarterly profit. And all those thousands of people that get dumped, doesn't matter because we got to make a quarterly profit. And only the CEOs and sociopaths.
Oh yeah, psychopaths.
Yeah, psychopaths. It's like, how in the world, when the recession hit, did all those people that caused the recession get bonuses and 2 people went to jail?
It's crazy. Rob the world blind.
They
get
did.
A bonus.
They did. They robbed the world blind, and then they said, "Oh gosh, we need our bonuses." Because we did a really good job of robbing the world blind. See my white collar?
Yeah. Where's the justice?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if one of these days there's going to be a revolution where people are rising up. I have a friend
who says that at some point the poor will eat the rich.
Yep. And I don't know when that's...
Unfortunately, the rich own more guns than the poor do. Even though the poor probably own more guns than the rich do, the rich would just restrict their ammunition to their friends, and then they would run out of bullets. And
well, and they have fortresses and castles and gated walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still am really positive. I mean, I was just thinking this morning how, I've been reading stuff about South America and everything, and it's like, gosh, no matter how bad it's getting here, South America is so much worse. That's why they're all rolling up here to try to get in our country. It's a shame that we can't absorb them all and just give them a free meal for the rest of their lives. We can't.
Are you talking about like Venezuela specifically, or just like all kinds of?
No, there's 4 or 5 countries down there where the gangs and stuff are so bad that they have no choice but to either die, pay every penny they make, or leave.
Wow.
Chile. What is it? What's the on the Pacific side? What are the countries on the Pacific side? Chile and a couple other things.
I wish I was better at geography.
Yeah.
I'm an American, Don. I'm not good at geography, world geography.
Right, But that and the corruption from the governments, that it's still, and there's been, even though there's more corruption because there's less news that's taking care of it here in our country, it's still a lot more civil and, well taken care of. The one thing that I really thought was going to give me a chance to say that this president was going to be all right is that when he stood up, he put up his left hand when he was running for president and said, "I am going to make the biggest infrastructure program on the planet." We are, because I always thought, why isn't repairing every road, every electric, every grid system, every water system a national defense initiative?
Yeah.
Because if all that stuff, it would create jobs. Because that kind of work doesn't get done by machines. Machines help people do it, but it still takes people to do those jobs. We could redo the whole systems, all the systems.
Yeah.
And it would just, whew, it just gives me chills thinking what they could do. The WPA, Works Progress Administration, and that helped so many people during the Depression.
Yeah.
And, that was amazing.
Well, FDR, when he did the New Deal, and, the economy started booming because all these people were getting jobs and just,
Well, and the thing that really ended that recession, though, was a war.
Yeah. The war was good
shame.
for the United States.
Right.
Very good. While all these other nations that were competitors were destroyed,
Well, that's just like the 2 10 years wars that we just had. They were great for corporations, but they didn't do a damn thing for people because it takes so much less people to build the military hardware. They were just making and selling military hardware all over the planet. Mm-hmm. That's why there's so many assault rifles in the United States. They built so many of them, and after the war ended, they had surpluses everywhere. What are you going to do? We got to sell our shit.
You got to make our money.
So they sold it to the American public.
I mean, it makes sense as far as from a business perspective.
From a business perspective.
Let's make the money. Capitalism. Yeah. I don't think capitalism is the worst thing ever. I think capitalism should be tweaked because I think there's a lot of good things about capitalism. Because I like the idea of the best idea in the market
in the United
wins.
States because we are a country of the people, for the people, by the people, only we aren't anymore. We're a company of the capitalists, for the capitalists, by the capitalists.
The corporations, yeah.
And it used to be that we were interested. It took a guy like FDR who was a dyed-in-the-wool Republican and said, hey, we got to take care of our own, and you people that got all that money got to help pay for it. Mm-hmm. And he did things that a lot of his associates thought was crazy, but it helped.
Yeah.
Helped everybody. If we could just start helping everybody again.
Well, if we did something like that, I've even heard of cities where they'll house the homeless in the United States. They've done projects like this, and people end up paying less taxes because there's less trips to the emergency room for homeless people. Once you get that kind of stability in your life, it's better for everyone. Everyone's better off. It's helping people is the answer. And not only that, but it's everyone just feels more connected to their community. Yep. And it's it's good for your telomeres. Honestly, though, it's it's just good for everybody. Let's just be accepting and care for one another. And
I think that it's just like how the people are saying, they're going to be socialists, they're going to be communists. It's no. Socialism is not communism. Communism is communism. Socialism is being social justice for the greater good of the people. The reason communism didn't work is that it was an interesting idea, and as soon as the top brass got it started, they started taking all the cream off the top and not providing for the people, and then it turned into a communist system, which was negative, whereas in our country, there was socialists and there were communists, but that they wanted was that a fair shake for the people. And though it's that's why Bernie Sanders is so popular, because he only wants a fair shake for the people. But I'm not interested in electing a 70-year-old man ever again.
Yeah?
Yeah. Get the joke. I got, Biden. I know you're not into politics, but Biden is he's the top dog right now.
Is he?
And that was Obama's vice president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's 76 years old. And if he won the presidency, he's got to be so out of touch with the American public. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He's been living in a bubble for his whole life.
So
I don't know
my
his
friend's
background.
joke is, he says, I got it. Let's elect Biden. Let's have him ask Obama to be his vice president because he can't run for president again.
Yeah.
And then he could let him either do Bush's vice president thing?
Dick Cheney.
He could either do a Dick Cheney or he could have a heart attack and be in the hospital and Obama could run the country again. And I said, well, that's a great idea, but it doesn't matter even if the Democrats win again if we don't change the Congress. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of change that needs to happen. I wonder sometimes if we just need like a clean slate. Like, all right, take everyone out.
Well, that'd be great, but the people that are in power aren't going to ever let the people that are out of power.
So then my next thought is, well, maybe we need some pitchforks and revolution. I wonder if like that is the only way we're ever going to have.
You haven't noticed because you haven't been watching the news, but around the planet, there's been revolutions going on, and they are being put down by their governments.
In the military.
All over the place. You know. There was the...
I can imagine the idea of fighting the U.S. government, like the people in the United States rising up. I mean, they have like fighter jets and tanks.
Right.
And
yeah.
bombs.
We have well, that's how I always laugh about the Second Amendment, where you have a right to have weapons.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, weapons, but what do you need military hardware for? You know, because they said, well, it says right there that we're allowed to have a militia, and a militia is allowed to have any weapons they want. I said, well, we got a militia. It's called the U.S. military. Standing militia. What do you need military guns for? He said, in case we need to fight the militia. He said, oh, you think you're going to win, eh? It's not like in the other, you know, there's a couple countries where you could fight the militia, but it's probably not here.
Yeah.
It's not in China. You have, you know, they have revolutions in China, and they just put them down.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I don't know what the answer is, Don. There's so much complexity. Even if we just like said, okay, let's change our type of government or system in the United States alone. The United States is huge and vast, and there's so many different types of areas and communities with people with different belief systems and values, and so how do you get everyone on the same page?
You won't.
Yeah.
It's just like I've said, let's just get rid of religion in government altogether again. We did that in the beginning. Let's do it again.
That sounds nice.
They just passed a law that says the churches can be political now. They just passed a law that says that corporations are human beings. So that's why this is going to be...
That Mitt Romney quote, like, corporations are people, my friends. That like famous quote.
There's going to be more money poured into this election than ever has been poured into it in history. They've already decided that.
People want the power.
No, the corporations want the power.
Well, corporations are people, so.
That's right. I don't think I've ever had a drink with a corporation, just somebody representing one.
Yeah. They always send ambassadors, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if you got any phone numbers, let me, I can call corporations, but I don't think they're coming out to have drinks with me.
Yeah.
I don't
know if they have a liver to metabolize the alcohol. Just a couple pieces of paper. Like, all right, signed documents. There it is. It's a corporation.
No, I just got to be good to the people that's around you. That's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me in my life, so, I've been figuring out like what I want to do with my life. I had this like transitional period in my life somewhat recently where I was just basically charting the path ahead. Like, what is the course I want to take?
And where are you going?
So I think for me, so there's like I realize that I don't want to do just one thing the rest of my life. I'm somebody I'm a neophile.
You're a millennial, which they already told most of us, that the old folks, that the millennials are probably going to have 4 or 5 different jobs in their life.
Yeah, I mean, I've already had 4 or 5 different types of jobs. Yeah, I've worked in construction, IT. I was making checking circuit boards at one point. Ran a restaurant. I'm driving a party bike. Yeah, so I've already had, But I realized for myself, one of the things I want to do in life is I feel like I want to become the best version of myself so that I can uplift like people in my life and just those around me. Like it sounds like so like corny and cheesy and whatnot, but I honestly, I want to be like an inspiration to other people because I feel like I've come so far in my path already in my journey, and I've grown so much as a human and just like my understanding and even my empathy for others. And I don't know, I just feel like I want to be a positive influence in the world. And so that's what I want to do. And so I hope to one day become incredibly wealthy just so I can help other people. Yeah. So that's something I want to do. That's a goal. Write it down,
Yeah, I mean, I'm always amazed at it's like the only reason we have the National Public Radio and the public TV is because there's people out there helping fund it. Because there is some money that comes from the government.
Yeah, NPR.
Right.
I'm a public radio nerd.
But they've tried. The Republicans have tried to keep taking chopping that money away from that because it doesn't say their message.
It's not pumping out their propaganda.
Right.
promoting their agenda.
Right.
And here's the thing that's like somewhat surprising to me is that there's so many people that I've talked to, it's like they don't understand. Like, you're just taking in propaganda all the time, all day, every day. Everyone has an agenda.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you know what you're hearing is true? Anything really. It's like you're choosing what to believe and just like sticking with it, like I said earlier.
Newspapers, if you got caught telling lies, they plastered it over everything. Everybody knew, and
Ruin your
everybody said,
reputation.
whoa. Now, if you get caught telling a lie, the news cycle's only so short that you're just back at it the next day, and they don't even know who you were, or who was lying, or whatever.
Everyone has ADD, just like such a short-term attention span. Like, oh, squirrel. Like, what were we talking about?
So yeah, that is tough.
We are living in a new day and age for sure.
Yep.
Different culture.
Yeah. No, I mean, if we could get corporations I know that there's a lot of corporations that fund all kinds of things, and they do it because it covers their butt more than them doing it for social reasons. They put up their left hand and say, "Oh, we're doing it for social reasons," and it's not. They're doing it for political reasons
or economic reasons as well.
That's what I mean. The politics of if we do this, it looks good, and we'll get more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not because
it's not truly out of the goodness of their hearts that they're doing it.
No. Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, you never know someone's true intentions.
Yeah.
So you can only, you're using your own like filter, your lens with which you perceive your reality, your own perspective to try to judge. And like, if this person did this thing, I'm assuming they did it for this reason, but you really don't know what their agenda is, right?
So what's next after the beer cart?
For me, oh wow. So this right here, this is one thing I'm working on.
Right.
So I'm doing this.
Yep.
In September, I guess I'm making it official because I'm telling the world now.
Yeah.
I am going to release my first EP of 4 songs. So I'm like start a music career for myself, and then have this going.
Yeah, because with a music career, sometimes you have to slog for a while before they get to hear you.
Well, here's the cool thing though. This is something that even if it doesn't make me a lot of money,
makes you happy.
It makes me happy, and it's fulfilling to me.
Yeah.
So even if I'm doing it and
Boy,
I have one person listening.
A bunch of musicians and have had gazillions of musicians as clients. And that is one thing that I can say is that, man, their music, it's like drug. And they're happy when they're doing their music, they're like on drugs.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the same. Like so I'm just a drummer. Well, when I drum, oh man, it's like meditation and exercise, and I feel so good afterward and while I'm doing it. And then I compose music on my computer as well. I just have like a little tiny keyboard and just compose and just layer melodies and then, change the sounds.
I had worked yesterday with a saxophone player. Yeah, we worked on doing some construction. He used to own a cabinet company, and we worked together on a fairly regular basis.
Very cool. Does he like, do you want to hit that little red button real quick? See that on the left side? Just tap it. Huh, video stopped for some reason. Oh, we're good now. Does he play in a band or anything? The saxophone player?
Plays in a couple different bands.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And he just like does shows around town and very cool.
Yeah.
I eventually want to do that. I'm trying to create a one-man band, like just me, where I'm like performing live, doing drums, singing, playing keyboard, maybe do a little dancing.
Well, you need some AI.
Maybe, yeah. Get some robots on stage. Yeah. Yeah,
little
possibly.
Boxes with faces on them that go.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely make it more entertaining. That's for sure. Very cool. Well, I tell you what, Don, I have a few questions I'd like to ask. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. What does an ideal conversation look like to you?
Two people enjoying themselves, sharing stories, because they say that what a lot of conversations are is the person listening is only waiting for the instant they can open their mouth and tell their story. They're not actually taking in the information from the other person. Mm-hmm. And it'd be nice if both people listened and enjoyed, or listened and didn't enjoy in some cases, because sometimes it's important to hear things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sharing, because a lot of times conversations aren't sharing. So, I mean, just having a chance to talk to more people. I love listening to people, but
Same.
I'm just as bad as everybody else is. I want to go, oh, let me tell you my story too.
Yeah.
So
That happens too when I'm having like a really good conversation. We're talking about something I love talking about. And it's like, oh, I have so many things to like throw in here too.
Yeah.
But like, keep it cool. Just
yeah,
listen.
that's right.
Yeah. But you can definitely tell when you're having a conversation with someone and you feel like you have to like almost fight to like say anything. It's almost like a monologue where they're just like talking about themselves and talking about
What
their own
they only
thing.
do, they only briefly stop so you can say something long enough for them to keep right on talking.
Yeah. That's always kind of a
And
bummer to
I
me.
have friends that are like that, and I know that I'm going to be with those people, that is the way the conversation is going to run, or should I say the monologue is going to be. And it doesn't matter. I tend to take my friends with a grain of salt. We enjoy my time. I enjoy my time with that person because I know that that's what they are, and I let it go at that.
Same. You know that you have proper expectations about what to expect. Yeah. Cool. I like it. All right. What does an ideal date look like? You probably haven't been on the dating scene for a while.
What is a date?
Wait, where's the dictionary?
Now, a date with my other half. Let's say that. A date with my other half.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Well, we'd probably go out and have a nice meal. We might go out and do something little that we enjoy together, and can return home and still be in a nice, comfortable mood with each other.
There you go. It's nice, short and sweet, just a nice meal, a little activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complex.
No, complex usually gets, my other half walks with a cane, and complex gets tiring really quickly because they're doesn't hold out. And I don't hold out like I used to.
Yeah.
Going to, there was a concert in Eden Park on Saturday that was from noon till 9. Well, I have a really good friend that's older than me, and he had the list of everybody playing, and they got there at noon. He was going to stay till 9. And I knew that by the time he was done, they would be dragging his butt back to the car because he would be exhausted sitting there in his chair just because he was there for 12 or 14 hours. But he was going to go listen to these bands, gosh darn it. I went, I saw a ton of people I knew because it was from my time period, Ludlow Garage Reunion, which was run by Jim Tarbell. I don't know, you probably might know that name from, he's a politician.
I've talked to him once or twice.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
And I just saw all kinds of people I knew and saw and had a good time. And I was there for about 2.5 hours, 2 or 3 beers. And I said, gotta go, bye-bye. And I was done.
Yeah, just the right amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would want to stay there from 12 to 9.
I know.
I was like, oh, no. That's okay. Very cool. All right. Right now, what does your current day look like? It's like, what's a day in the life of Don Deters?
Oh, we get up. One of the really most wonderful times of the day is I get up. I'll go make coffee, sit in the living room with my dog, and look at magazines or read the paper. The other half wakes up. The dog and I get up. We put some breakfast together. We have yogurt, toast, fruit in the yogurt, usually an orange or a cutie, and coffee. And everybody is on the bed because my other half walks with a cane. That's the most comfortable place for her. And so we have breakfast, watch the morning news and the weather. The dog shares with the food just like we have, gets the yogurt, used to eat some fruit.
You give the dog some yogurt and fruit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she eats yogurt
That's awesome.
and fruit. And then we'll get up, we'll clean up a little bit. I'll take the dog out for a walk so she can do her business, come back, give her a kiss and a hug, and I'll go out the door. And then after that, I'm on my way to some kind of work. Most days it's work, not always. Once in a while, I'll catch up with a friend and do something like this. Because, I should be working right now. It's like, at 65, I'll get to work. If there's a chance to be with somebody that I enjoy and like, I'm going to do that because those times are fewer and farther between now. So, but most days it's on to work because being self-employed is wonderful because I decide where I'm going to work, when I'm going to work, and how I'm going to work.
There's a lot of freedom in that.
Yes, and as I've gotten older, I can't work as long as I used to. I probably could, but it would just do me damage.
Yeah, not doing yourself any favors doing that.
So I work 5 to 8 hours a day. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 4, whatever my body will hold up and wherever I can get to. A lot of days I'm able to call a client that day and say, I've got a key, can I come in? And they go, oh, great. I go work. People are happy I show up. I do some work.
Just like repair some things, handyman kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm going to go into Bellevue when I'm done here and do about 4 hours of electrical work.
Oh, wow.
Right. I've got the stuff in the truck and I'm all ready to go.
Nice. Came prepared.
Yeah, you know a Café de Paris?
No,
It's over across from the library in Cincinnati. There's a little French kind of breakfast or lunch place.
Is this on Vine Street or is this?
Right off Vine Street, there's a park right across from at Vine and A Street.
Okay.
There's a park. And Café de Paris, I'm in there, and he's got a chicken salad that I just die to have. It's just wonderful. So I've been in there enough. Oh, I haven't been in there that many times, but every time I walk in, he knows me because he goes, oh, the chicken salad guy, because I wanted the recipe. And he said, well, if I give you the recipe, I'll have to kill you. So we got to be, friends a little bit. And he kept saying, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I work on houses. And that's one of the ways I get work, by talking to people. I, at one point, had given out 3,000 or 4,000 business cards, and my name was on a lot of refrigerators around this town.
Wow.
And he said, oh, did you do some electric work? I said, yes, but only this kind of electric work, small electric work. I'm not doing electric work. I do repairs. I don't do wiring and running and fixing it all through the house and everything. And he said, oh my God, could you look at something for me? House over in Bellevue. It needs a couple little repairs done on it, and that's where I'm headed. That's
very cool.
If it works out, I'll probably have a new client because, I turned down part of it because you're going to have to dig into the house. So I said, you got to call an electrician for that. But I'm going to go over and do the little things. So he doesn't have to pay the electrician's rate for the little things.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
And that's cool, just like making all these connections person to person, old school. The analog way of making connections.
Well, I'll tell you, it used to be wonderful back in, in the 80s and 90s when I was being self-employed. I would work for people, and if I didn't like them or if they were rude or whatever, that would be the last time I worked for them. Because I had enough work and could pick and choose that I just, you're a jerk, I don't like you, you're this or that, and I'm not working for you ever again.
Yeah.
And after the recession, now I work for just about anybody because my circle of clients has shrunk. I used to work for people like my dentist, my doctor, my chiropractor, my chiropractor, and they'd give me deals on work too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because they trusted me. I had keys to their houses. They'd say, hey, can you do this? And I'd just show up and take care of business, and they didn't have to think about it or anything like that. And
that's a good service for people. Don't even have to be there to facilitate anything, let you in. Just all right, come and go as you please. Just I trust you.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. No, I've been really fortunate at work. People ask me, are you busy? Are you busy? I said, yes. And when I'm not, I still have enough work that I've got as much as I can handle.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're always going to be taken care of, Don. You're a good dude, and,
I think the universe is out there keeping an eye out for me.
I think, you know what? I think so, too.
Yeah.
That's what I choose to believe.
I don't know what your belief is in God, but mine is that there's not a guy up there with a file looking at my file and saying, oh, I haven't prayed enough, or haven't done this, or I haven't done this according to what this book said that man wrote, not a God. all the books written on this planet that are about
Well,
God.
those people who wrote the books were inspired by God, though.
I'm
They
sorry,
were-
but that wasn't God. That was still a man that said he had a vision in his head. Nobody can say that have ever died and come back and said, God told me to do this.
Yeah.
Some people have gotten close to it,
Hey,
but then they didn't die, really.
I could say a lot of things. God told me this.
Yeah,
Prove me wrong.
right. So
Yeah.
my belief in God is that the universe is God. If when you die, when people say they want to go back to God, when they die, they're going to heaven. Well, I'm sorry, that's a manufactured man's thing, going back to heaven. So be good now because you're going to go back to heaven. It's like, I'm going back to heaven, and it means that I'm going to dissolve and become one with the universe again as dirt, dust, stardust, dirt, thing like that.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole system does. It becomes and it goes away. And energy is not created or destroyed. It changes state.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm one with God right now. And when I die and I turn into powder, I'll be one with God then too.
Just in a different form.
Right.
I really like that outlook because I think I don't have any like set idea of like, okay, this is what I 100% believe about God and the universe and this reality and what's happening here. But I believe something pretty similar to what you believe. Like, we are all God, and that the universe is just like one organism, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
And we're all just like,
Hey, you got to remember that until, recently, we thought we were the only sentient beings in the whole universe. And the God in that universe was the only one God that was our God. Oh, and by the way, there are about 5 or 6, maybe 100 of them on our planet that are our one God.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think today there's like 4,200 different organized religions in the world or something
and
like
if
that.
if it's either my way or the highway.
Yeah. Right? Oh man, which one do I choose? Oh no. Yeah.
So,
I like that. That's
right.
awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So I take it you're not afraid of dying?
No, not really. Makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to, I only want to live as long as the system's working okay. When the system starts breaking down, that's why I have such a hard time with keeping brain dead people and people whose heart is dead and they just keep pumping it, but they don't think, they don't talk, they don't have any
Just a
opportunity
vegetable.
of coming back. I mean, if your whole system breaks down, why are we going to artificially keep you around just to suck money out of the system?
Well, a lot of religious people believe that life is better than death,
That's
no matter
why
what. No matter what. Although they'll put a sick dog down.
Oh, but or somebody they don't believe in, they'll kill.
Exactly. So absurd.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way. I thought about like creating a living will and power of attorney and like what happens if I slip into a coma and it's like do not keep me alive.
Hey, take the organs.
Let me go. Yeah, harvest me.
Hey, if you
Whatever.
can harvest me, you know it.
But I'm the same way. I'm not afraid of death, and I used to be.
Yeah.
But I'm not anymore, and it is liberating to get to that point.
Now, what I have learned from some friends, though, is that although we're not afraid of death in our conversation here, that when you get to the point where you have the chance to be alive or dead and you could let yourself go, there's still some kind of innate quality in the human psyche that says, I'm not going to die. Don't let me die. Don't let me die.
Not yet. This is not the moment. Yep.
Right. And so that's the interesting part about that conversation is when I get there, will I be able to stick with my conversation or not?
Yeah. Are you going to fight or are you going to slip
Well,
away?
fighting for life's one thing, but being, saying, well, I'm going to die and let me go is another. If you're going to have a quality of life or whatever, I'm going to fight for it. But if not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we're all going to find out
Yeah.
one day. Every single one of us alive.
Yeah. I just have such a that's the other thing that always bothers me is that people mourn so much over someone's passing. And I don't want to mourn over someone's passing. I want to be sad for a minute because it's for me, it's not for them. People get sad and mourn for themselves, not for the person. It's a selfish thing to mourn. It's like, I want to be sad for a minute. And then it's like I tell everybody, hey, if I die, sit down, have a martini or 5, sit down in a modern chair, think about something we did that was a fun time, and move right on. Have a party.
Yeah.
Come together and say, hey, we did these things together. It was really cool, man.
Yeah. Why do we need to have a funeral? Let's have like a celebration of your life.
Right.
All the good friends get together and just talk
That's
about
what I
them.
want people to do if I pass on.
That is so awesome. I love it, Don. I want the same thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. I like it. All right. Let's keep on going here.
Good.
So we talked about your current day. What does your ideal day look like? If you could craft, I don't want to say the perfect day, but just like, what does a good ideal day look like to you?
Well, I probably would stop working and start doing some work of my own, which might be working on a building or something like that of my own, the building up there and everything like that. And spending more time with the family. But you need to do something during the days. You just can't lounge around because you become a vegetable.
You start
really
atrophying
quick.
and that's when you die. Yeah.
So the ideal day would be to, since I've had a bunch of different hobbies and interests in my life. And as those pass on and you put those to bed, it's like, that's what I have been doing recently is I'm putting to bed my collecting of 50s modern. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to find a new thing that interests me and excite me. I was, trying to, I was starting to read some recipe books, see if I could start cooking some more. I'm dyslexic, so reading is difficult for me. It takes me 6 months to read a book because I read it and then it tires me out. And then I read it and it tires me out.
Yeah.
So I want to do some more reading, but because I read the Times and I'm a picture-oriented learner. Mm-hmm. So a good day would be working on things and doing things and then relaxing in the evenings.
Yeah, do some personal projects, some passion projects.
Right.
New
I'd
hobbies.
like to find out what the passion projects are. Right now they're still putzing around with the building, but...
Yeah, soon enough.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like it. All right. What does your ideal life look like? Maybe that's kind of the same question at this point. But
yeah. Well, no, it's not the same question, but it's close. Because the day can be, life is... I had this one woman I went out with, and we were, together for a few years, and she wanted to know what made a long-term relationship. So we started asking all these people that were older people that were with their other half for a long time. We'd say, how long have you guys been married? 30 years, 60 years, 20 years, things like. And we'd say, well, what is it that gets you through your relationship? Because you said, there's so many people, you get in a relationship and as soon as you hit a bad patch, they break up. Mm-hmm. And then this one guy came up with a succinct little statement that was really interesting. He said, well, being in a relationship is like driving a car. You get in the car, you put your seatbelt on. You start it. You're together. If the engine's running fine and everything, vroom, vroom, you get out on the road. Get on the road, and most of the times it's smooth, but not always. Sometimes it's rough, it's bumpy, it's nasty, it's raining, it's pouring. You don't get out of the car and leave the car and walk away. You stay in the car until you reach the smooth road again. Now, sometimes you have to work on the car because it gets rough. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to keep your car and keep yourself together with your car, you're going to have to ride the rough times as well as the smooth times. I said, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays, they're not willing to do that. It's not the same sort of commitment that it
Well,
used to
they
be.
say that the dating thing now is that it's really hard to date because if you, they were talking to somebody, they said, I asked my other half 5 or 6 times if she'd go out with me before she would agree to it. Now that would be called harassment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and even with like all these dating apps as well, it's like girls have so many options. Because, guys are just like horn dogs. They're just getting at them and so they have so many options. And so, but if that's like your main way of meeting girls, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go on this online little dating app or website. just the whole scene is so different now.
Well, think about that. You would do one date, and if you say the wrong word on the date, they go, up. That's the end of that.
Plenty other guys vying for my
no,
attention.
I'm not going to go out with you again, even if you call and ask. Forget it.
Yeah, there's just so many options now.
Yeah.
For everyone, for everybody, but.
Well, and actually, corporations love that too. The more they make people single and of themselves, the more money they make.
In what way?
Well, because you think you have to have the perfect car, the perfect dress, the perfect this, the perfect that, not the perfect, hanging out with your friends. That's good. You're going to do that. You want to do that. But on the other hand, if you have the perfect stereo, you'll be fine for the rest of your life, which is about a sale. The perfect app, it's about a sale, not about supporting you as a human being. It's only about supporting you as a consumer.
Yeah.
Even the dating apps are all about supporting you as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't want you to meet that person.
That's right.
Because they want you to stay on the app.
Right.
And,
so
from an economic perspective, yeah,
right.
That's what they want. Yeah, I've kind of, I'm not off the market, I would say. Like, I'm always kind of on the market, but I'm not actively looking, and I haven't been for a while. I'm just focusing on myself for now.
Yeah.
And just
Well, you have groups of friends, though, too.
I have really good friends in my life.
Because the thing, I've never been very good at dating. My brother was a horn dog. He had, he probably had about 500 or 600 different. He had a black book with women's name in it, and marked off and graded, and their phone numbers, and if they were any good in bed, this and that.
All the pertinent details.
Right, and I always found that if I broke up with somebody, I just started hanging out with my best friend again. He ate what I ate. He drank what I drank. He did what I liked to do. He hung out with other people that he liked. That was me. And by the way, when I started getting to a point where I was back to being just me, somebody would come along and say, wow, I like that, and pick it up. And if they were not, if they met any of the criteria, I said, let's do it. See what happens.
Yeah.
So I usually got found more than I found women.
Well, I like that. I think that's the right approach, is to just authentically be yourself. And if you attract somebody, or, you're vibing with somebody, it's like, all right, this is great. As opposed to a lot of people will just like jump from one relationship to another, and they can never be by themselves. And, I have to have someone in my life to, whatever. But yeah, no, I like that. Don, me and you, we're just like a lot of similarities here for sure. I like it. Okay. What has been the happiest or most carefree phase of your life?
Well, high school was one of them. A lot of people don't have a good time in high school. I just had a wonderful time in high school. The 4 years before I got married with the woman I got married to were one of the happiest times in my life. Yeah. That's probably the 2 times I can remember. And also usually starting relationships is one of those wonderful times. Those are fine because, as soon as the honeymoon's over, then you have to put on that seatbelt and go for the rough ride along with the smooth ride.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I have any long block of time.
Yeah. Well, maybe you don't need that, to live a good life.
Right. It's called life.
Yeah. It has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. My high school experience, it was okay.
Yeah,
it was okay.
I had a wonderful time in high school.
Did you party a lot in high school?
I did. I used to have a lot. My brothers are 5 and 6 years older than me. One's 13 years older too. But they taught me how to have good parties. And my dad had a backyard as big as a football field. So I could have a party and you wouldn't even know it was there. In fact, the last party, my parents said that if I ever had another party, they would call the cops on me.
Oh, tough
because
love.
There used to be this WEBN was the rock and roll station of our time period, my time period. And it had a thing called the free electric classifieds. You could just call in and put some information on the free electric classifieds and they would announce it on the radio. As long as it was, okay. Well, I was having a party where I had a sound man, 6 bouncers, and I thought I'd have maybe 150 people from my high school. My mom manned the bathroom for the girls, and the guys peed outside, right? Somebody heard about it and put it on the free electric classified. My cousin on the other side of the city heard about it, and he shows up and says, "Hey, here you're having a party." Well, people from all over the city showed up. There were about 800 or 900 people there.
Whoa. It's probably like shoulder to shoulder packed, or was it that packed?
It was. And there was 900 watts of pre-recorded sound from a sound man. My dad was out in the yard keeping an eye on things. And when I found him, remember, you used to have those beers in plastic holders that you could carry it like this, and you pop them out. And so here he is, ringed totally in beer. He would unbuckle his belt, and they'd say, "Hey, Mr. Deters, I'll give you a beer if you'll hold them for me." And so he's out in the backyard drinking beer, hanging out, having a good time. It was a great party. Nobody got in fights. Nothing happened. The police, because it was in a unincorporated area, if they arrested anybody or took anybody, they had to take them all the way downtown to District 1. So unless somebody was doing something really bad, they weren't going to do anything. So nobody got arrested. Nothing happened. It took me a day and a half or 2 days to clean up.
Just like you can't even see the lawn. It's just trash everywhere.
No, it was amazing. And that was the last big party I ever had.
That is awesome. What an experience, though.
Oh, it was. I was like, it took me hours to find my girlfriend after I knew she was there.
Was there any crowd surfing that you saw or anything like that?
What would crowd surfing be?
So crowd surfing is when somebody will get up and like they're on top of the crowd of people and everyone's just
like a
holding
mosh
up,
pit.
passing them around.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Well, if it's that packed, it'll be easy. Just like,
Yeah. My dad tended a bonfire in the backyard. It was,
man, good times.
it was a good time. High school was a good time.
Yeah. When I get older, like decades into the future, I want to have like a big well of experiences to draw from. And like experiences like this, where it's like, man, I did the thing. I lived life.
Yeah.
I had great experiences, good people.
My life's been calmer since I've been with Dar because we've been dumbing down the system. She is in pain a lot, so we go out a lot less.
Yeah.
That's been too bad. But I'm still enjoying my life.
Yeah.
You say, why was high school so good? Well, the other reason high school was so good is I had friends in every different group, from the jocks to the, people in, drama, gays, the intellectuals. I was with the chess club. And some of them couldn't be my friends in public because I was friends with these people that their friends wouldn't ever talk to.
Yeah.
Like jocks, but we were friends. So we'd go and hang out and do some things. And then in public, we'd say, all right,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
The dynamics between all these different cliques. And, status matters so much.
I said, boy, that was a time of learning politics.
Yeah, that's when you really developed your social skills with people, interpersonal relationships. Very cool. I like it. All right. What are some of your biggest struggles in life?
No computers. That's a big struggle. It cuts me off from things that I could have fun with, but it saves me a ton of time, effort, and money. So although I'm missing things, I'm also missing all the headaches of all the people I know that have computers that tell me of all the headaches and all the money they've spent, with their technology. Mm-hmm. Really. I miss a few things. My big headache in life is that I have to fight to do paperwork. It is so difficult for me to do paperwork. And if it was easier, that would make everything easier in life.
Yeah. Just like it's hard to force yourself to sit down and just do it.
Paperwork, period. Right.
It's just so dry and boring, right?
Give me a chance to go out and fix something or have something to do out there that's, work related. Mm-hmm. But sit down and make the bills, or it's just pulling teeth.
Well, especially if you have dyslexia, like even just dealing with that, it's like that's a whole nother barrier.
Well, that's what made all of school so difficult. All my brothers were A and B students, my older brothers. And so by the time I got there, my parents were saying, "What is wrong with you?" because they didn't really know what dyslexia was until after I was out of high school.
Yeah.
But besides that, you know, things are pretty good. Besides that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, technology, it has its place. So I try not to get carried away with it.
And one of the other things that is a noose around my neck is the fact that I'm a pack rat. Yes, you say you're a minimalist, you know. I'm jealous because the less stuff I could have, the easier life would be. Because the more junk you have, the more you have to either worry about it or maintain it.
Yep.
And I just have this, it came to me through my family. They were pack rats too, and it's like a disease that I can't seem to shake because I always think, well, I'm going to throw this away, and then you go, and in the past you throw something away, and the moment you throw it away, you need it, you could have used it.
Yo, that's how it works.
Right,
That's just
and
like,
so I always say, well, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, and you go, oh, why? I've got it. I'm not really, I don't need to worry about getting rid of it, but it's a pain.
Yeah.
All that junk.
I've heard from other people who are minimalists. They'll say there's even these two guys who are they call themselves the minimalists.
Right.
They create a documentary and what this whole movement and whatever. And they say they call it a packing party, where you'll go through your place with cardboard boxes and act as if you're moving and pack everything, every single thing into cardboard boxes, box it up, and take things out as you need it. And keep it like that for I don't know how long. And then after a while, it's like, well, all the stuff in the boxes, I haven't used it. I haven't needed it for this amount of time. All right, get rid of it.
Oh, yeah. I had a friend who, if he didn't use something in 6 months, he got rid of it. Mm-hmm. And, how easy it is to move. How easy it'd be to move, right?
Oh, yeah. When I moved this apartment,
no,
the guys were like, this is like one of the easiest moves ever. You have hardly anything
right.
to...
My friend said, hey, let me get you a smaller warehouse and we'll sell your warehouse. You can make some money. And I said, well, that's a great idea. And then I started thinking about it. I said, somebody would have to move all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Do I need those funds instantly, or do I want to move all this stuff? And it's like, it was frightening.
At this point, the thought of me going into your warehouse and trying to pack all that stuff or move all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, how long would that take? A month?
Well, it took
it would take a long
15, 18 years to get it there. It would take a long time to get rid of it, too.
Take a long time. Touching every individual piece.
Depending on how you're going to do it. Now, if you have unlimited fun, what I tell clients a lot of times when they tell me the projects they have in mind, I say, well, if money's no object, we can do anything.
Yeah.
And that usually slows them down. So, and it's the same way. If I wanted to move, it's like if money was no object and you could call the people and call the people and say, clear all this out. Mm-hmm. No problem. But if you're not willing to fund, thousands and thousands of dollars of help to get rid of it all, you have to do it piecemeal.
Yeah. So it's like, what is it? Money or time? Which one do you want to spend a lot of?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm looking to one day get down to a backpack.
Be good.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Backpack and a
laptop. Do all my work here. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe like a microphone, a couple cameras.
Hey, you should be able to get a microphone about, the things they have
like
this.
I would consider
you can do
that.
this whole setup with something that's, that'll fit in the backpack.
I've seriously considered this. Like, what if I just traveled around the world and talked to people from different cultures and backgrounds and just like did one of these? You're like, hey, let's just talk. Tell me about your life.
NPR and see people that do that. But you do need a group to do that if you're going to do like a TV show or something like that. Because...
Well, I can create my own TV show now.
Yeah.
I can get on YouTube, like one of these websites, like video websites where you can upload things for free, which is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all the video editing myself. Just basically, do everything in-house myself and then post it online for free, and then hopefully like build a base of people who follow me and are interested in what I'm posting. And yeah, the barriers of entry with technology are very low now. Anyone can start their own business now. Anyone can, like, if you can almost do anything now with technology. I can go on YouTube and learn about anything. I can read websites on anything in the world I want to know about.
Yep. My friend's been trying to get me on YouTube, and I keep saying, okay, but then when I go back to my phone, I can't figure out how to get on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a nice resource to have for sure. It is good.
Well, and I have clients solve problems for me on YouTube. I mean, you know,
I've even done like plumbing stuff on YouTube. Like, how do I
Right.
do this? I watch a little 4-minute video, like, oh, that seems simple, and I go do it. And it's like, okay, I didn't need to
I just
call
had one
somebody.
the other day where I said, "Hey, pull this up on YouTube and show me what they say about this." And as soon as they did that, I said, "Oh, I see it now. Okay."
So awesome. I love it. I have like all the libraries in the world, all the information right here at my fingertips. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right. What is one experience that had a profound impact on you and shaped you into the person you are today?
The dyslexia. I learned how to compensate because of the dyslexia. I didn't know what it was that was making me the way I was, but I knew I needed to find a way. I didn't know there was a thing you could fix. I just needed a way around it. So I became more of I was young because I had trouble with stuff. I was a real introvert. And then when I said, well, this isn't that good, I went out of my way to become an extrovert. I'm not great at it, but I'm okay. I have the 5 things, like you go to a party. I have 5 things. I taught my daughter this too. You go to a party that it doesn't matter where you are, who you're with. I have 5 things I can ask, just like we're doing right now. And if you connect on any one of them, you have a conversation.
And that naturally leads to other things coming up. You're like, oh,
Right,
we can talk about this too as well.
Hi, what's your name? Where do you live? Hi, what do you do? What's your hobbies? What kind of food do you like? You know, you stay away from politics and religion, but there's things that can interest people and you can have a conversation about it. And you work on that conversation with another person, and if it dies, you move on to the next person. So, you know.
I like that. Just having like the pre-planned questions.
Well, I mean, it could be anything, but you betcha. You say, well, where do you live? What do you do? What do you things? And it's like, because I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds of people I've asked, what do you collect? And they go, oh, I don't collect anything. And you go, a collection is more than you can use. And if you have 5 or 6 of something, you have a collection. Some things are useful, so it's just a collection of useful things, but other things are things you like. And if you had 6 sets of golf clubs, you have a collection of golf clubs because you only use 1 set of golf clubs. You know, if you have 1,000 baseball hats, you have a collection. You don't use them. You know, those are collections. And you say, now, what kind of collections do you have? And they go, you're right. I have 2,000 pairs of shoes. You know, you know. So,
man, what do I collect?
Right now, experiences with people.
I'm collecting experiences, and I also collect my thoughts and ideas.
Music equipment, probably.
Music equipment I collect. I also collect, I create songs. So I guess I'm a collector of my own songs that I've created, collecting them, and then I'm going to like put them out into the world. Very cool. What are you a collector of? I like that question. I might like add that one into my arsenal of questions.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because, you know, and usually say, don't say you don't. Let's see what you do, because you do.
At a minimum, you collect shirts and pants. All right. So you're collecting some things.
Well, yeah, because as
Cups.
a minimalist, I mean, I have friends who are minimalists, and they only have a half a wardrobe or half a closet of clothes because they only use what they have, and then when those wear out, they go get something else and they use it. Or if it's been there for a year and they haven't worn it, they get rid of it, and then when they need something, they go get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done some purges for sure. Like got rid of, bunch of my clothes. I'm ready to do another one though, because there's some shirts in there I haven't worn in a long time. It's like, these are nice shirts, but I never wear them. So, what are you a collector of? Very cool. All right, Don, who inspires you, who is not well known? So not someone like super famous or well known necessarily, but someone maybe like a little more off the...
You have to think about that one for a bit. Ask the next question.
Okay. What topic or new understanding was crucial in your development as a person? What topic or new understanding was crucial in your development as a person?
There again, I'm probably going to go back to the dyslexia. Because there was a long time that I just thought I was not very smart.
Like, why do other people get this, but I'm having so much trouble with it?
Well, because it was in school, I used to be considered a troubled kid. What do you call it when you act out in school?
Is it troubled? I don't know the
kid.
word
and,
for it.
Well, at 26, I was at a party with a girlfriend, and everybody there was learning about childhood, learning disabilities and things like that. And they said, hey, your boyfriend's dyslexic. And it's like, wow, how they came up with that instant thing about it, I have no idea. But he said, oh, yeah, no, you're dyslexic. Well, I went and got some testing done, and they said, oh, yeah, you were heavily dyslexic. He said, it was a Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation. And they asked me, do you have something you do? And I said, I work on houses. And he said, do you earn enough money to do things? I said, yes. And he said, well, you don't need us because you've done what we do is find people a way to work around their problems.
You already did the work all yourself.
Right. But they said, but yes, you've had it. You've got it. And it's not going away. It's just that then it was like, oh, now I know. So now I'm bright, outgoing, and I'm okay. Forget that shit.
Oh, yeah. Don't need to worry about it.
It's going to look, I'm still talking about it to this day, so it still affects me very heavily.
For sure.
But it doesn't come up in standard conversation. And only when I push forth to say, when somebody would say, why is it this problem? Or why don't you do like paperwork?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do any good on your cell phone? Well, the other thing is that, I don't remember things. Now, I don't know if that's ADD or if it's my dad died with dementia. I have no idea if that is it or anything, but I could read books and not remember the history lessons and the dates and things like that, even back as long as I can remember. I can't read and remember things. People tell me things. I don't remember my mother's birthday still. I say, if you want me to remember something that you want me to remember, you have to tell me before we're doing it. And if you get upset because I don't remember, it's your problem, not mine. I've trained all my clients that I ask you to call me and remind me on the day we're doing something or the day before we're doing something, because if I don't show up on the day we're doing something and we have an appointment a month out, I am not going to be upset because you didn't remind me, and it's nothing personal. I'm not like stiffing you or,
It's not intentional.
Not intentional, but if you don't call me and check in, too bad. Might not be there. If I am, great. But if I don't show up, it's your fault.
Yeah. I gotta let you know ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah. I personally, I keep a calendar, like technology once again, and I get reminders on my phone like, ding, like you have to do this thing. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I try to keep paper calendars, and that means you have to look at it.
You have to read it. Yeah. Yeah, that makes it hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine living a life like that.
Well,
I've never had it.
It's
so.
easy.
Yeah.
But
you adapt.
Yeah, you adapt.
We're highly adaptable
beings.
All right. Okay. What book, podcast, show, or other form of media have you recently consumed that you would recommend?
Last year, and you can probably get this online now, but I listened to large CDs of American history. I was the history of Benjamin Franklin, and I listened to the history of Thomas Jefferson. And I actually listened to both of those at least 2 or 3 times because the information about these two men's lives were so impressive and so unbelievable that we had people then that were so intelligent and so giving. Now, they were capitalists and they wanted stuff for themselves and they did things like had slaves, but they saw the future and wanted the people of the United States to have it and dragged us into it so that it wasn't all about just their people. It was about the people. So, you know, we were just talking about this president, how he's not been the worst president, and there's been other crimes with the muckrakers and things like that. And so seeing that bit of history has been really amazing. It put this president in perspective for me.
Yeah.
I said, well, if we don't screw up, we get rid of him in one time around.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trouble we have with this president is that the Republicans didn't like the way things were working, so they purged the voter rolls. They made it so you just can't walk in and pull out an ID and vote on the day.
Yeah.
They gerrymandered, if you know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
They've been
Gerrymandering
gerrymandering for 20 years to a point where they made it so this last election, we didn't elect Donald Trump. We elected a Republican. It was made so that whoever ran in the Republican ticket was going to be elected no matter what. How funny that the worst candidate of the 12 that were up there was the one that bitch slapped everybody else into submission, and because he never thought he was going to be the president.
Oh, yeah.
He said that himself. He was just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And oh my God, now I get to, he said he's the, So I said, and it's still rigged that way, by the way. So there is a very good chance he's going to get another 4 years unless the Democrats get it together. Because every Democrat on the planet has to vote or it won't overpower the gerrymandering rules.
Yeah, the Democrats definitely have the majority in this country.
Well, there's 15 states that said that they're not going to include their college of votes in the system. They're only going to tabulate their people votes.
Really? It's going to be just like pure majority vote? They're not going to use the electoral college?
They are, but 15's not enough because it only takes less than 15 states to elect a president.
Gotcha.
And, so if those 15, if 10 of the, if 5 of those, unless 10 of those states do the same thing and say that, we're not going to include our electoral votes, we're only going to include our popular vote in the system this year. That, it'll just be, they'll win by less. Because the electoral college is still the one that speaks.
Yeah.
Why that is now in this day and age, because it usually works for somebody, not everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be great if we could get to a straight popular vote. Just be done with the electoral
It's
college.
supposed to be a democracy, and the democracy is one vote counts as important. Not your vote counts, and the people we don't like don't.
That's the way it should work.
Right. Well, and this president got to put 2 men in the Supreme Court because the previous Supreme Court, although leaning right, was actually bringing up the gerrymandering thing and saying this is wrong and we're going to fix this. And then 2 of the people retired, 2 more came on, and they said, well, we're going to put the gerrymandering conversation on hold at least for the next 5 or 8 years. And then we'll look at it. It's like, well, what changed? 2 guys. That's what changed.
Yeah, and I know Obama wanted to elect some dudes, and they just held off. Like, nope, we're not. We're going to wait until the next president is elected.
Well, and that was illegal, what they did. But,
Hey, well, we know these white people with white collars, right? They can do a lot of things.
Well, there's one guy right now that is so powerful in the Senate that he can just about stop anything. So even if we elect another Democratic president, he'll have to govern by, what is it you do if you sign a piece of paper and it happens?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because, see, that's what people say. Oh, people, I can't believe the president can't change. I said, the president and the senators and the House only put things up. But then it has to be voted on. And there are about 3 people that aren't the president that can almost stop anything. And Mitch McConnell is one of them. He can stop almost anything. So, he might not be the president, but he's more powerful than the president.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways, the presidency is more of just like, this person's the face. The president has a lot of power for sure.
Well, look at all the things that Obama did by signing papers. And as soon as the new guy came in, they disallowed all those.
Yeah, what is that called?
Executive privilege.
Executive orders.
Yeah,
Yeah, uh-huh.
right. So,
Yeah, I think like each successive president, if I'm recalling this correctly, like each president does more and more executive orders.
well,
So it's just becoming more of like a tactic to use to
the
get things done.
Republicans for a lot of years wanted a line item veto. And
Yeah, because otherwise it's just, because they can put whatever they want into the bill. Like,
Correct.
let me slide this little thing into the
Right.
bill. And
so during the Reagan administration, they had enough of both Republicans in the White House and that the Republicans passed a light item veto law. And then we got Clinton. And Clinton said, works for me, and started using it a lot. And they started having to vote on laws, not pig laws, full of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they turned right around and got rid of that law almost within months after he became elected. Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. Man. Politics. I'm now remembering why I just like don't even talk about politics anymore or think
you're
about
absolutely
it.
right.
It's like it just makes me mad, and it's like, okay, how do we change this? I'm like, oh wait, I'm just some
You're
dude.
just involved in it again. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sorry that I brought it up.
No,
here. So many
do
things, but
do not apologize. I mean, I don't mind talking
Yes,
about
I
this,
know.
but I know why I don't like follow the news anymore and like allow myself to get roped in and like worked up over it.
I'm pretty
anymore.
good about hearing it, having a reaction to it, and moving on.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's the proper way to live your life in all areas of your life. Have something happens, have the emotion, feel it, react to it, and then move on. Let it go.
Well, and one of the things that has kept me is I had a little list of about 10 things that it said, how to have a better life. And one of them is don't hang out with people that you don't like. Don't hold grudges. Get over things. If you can't travel, read about it. Enjoy other places and things, even if you can't go there. There's a couple others, I just can't remember them offhand right now, but it's like, okay, if you bring it back up, I can have my grudge again. But do I carry it with me and do I mull it over all the time? Absolutely not.
All you're doing is hurting yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like I'm holding on to these negative feelings. I'm like trying to project them onto someone else or direct them towards someone else. But like that person's just like, they're just doing their thing, and you're just like holding on to all this negativity.
Right. And the worst part about that part is they have gone away already. They're gone. They're not thinking about you.
They moved on,
worried
man.
about you, or they're laughing because they got over on you. It's like they don't think about that kind of stuff anymore. They got over on you and they moved on. And if you're still holding it, you're the one that's losing the game there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I feel like I was really wronged by someone, I would hold on to it longer than I should have.
Yeah.
And
Well, I get upset, but then I get over it.
Yep.
Or I put it away.
Same.
I don't get over it. I just put it away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to live, Don. Some good advice, some good wisdom. I tell you what, this is our last question right here. If there is one piece of wisdom or advice you would share with your younger self, what would it be?
Save more money. Retire early. Enjoy life. If I had saved a third of everything I made, which, when you were talking about finances and all that kind of stuff earlier, and when able to put it away and keep it, I'd be retired right now.
Yeah.
And that's the advice. I've actually talked to people. There are two things I've talked to people about. I said, if I could change your life, would you take my advice? If I could give you $3,000 more a year in your pocket, would you take it? And he's like, absolutely. Stop smoking cigarettes. And the other one, and it's really tough because I was a smoker for 12 years, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Yeah.
And the other one is that if I could change your life and make it so you could retire early, would you do it? I said, I can't. I've never been able to. But would you? And that is just save a third of whatever, what the line is on that is always pay yourself first.
Yep.
If I could do that, I would be retired right now. I wouldn't be working because I have bills to pay.
Yeah, there's this whole movement called FIRE that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And so, yeah, a lot of these people are retiring like 30,
Right.
35, 40.
Well, they've made it really tough for the poor.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well,
you say,
especially
well,
with the
you're
tax
gonna
code.
get to do stock market and things like that. Well, that's only gonna be good for about 20% of the population that can figure that stuff out. Even if you have a 501k and this and that, and because like life insurance is not for you; it's for who you get after you die. Who gets it after you die?
Yeah.
But
Well, and there's so much jargon attached to all of these different like forms of life insurance or understanding the stock market and how all that works. You have to do such extensive research to even understand the basics of it, to really understand
and
what's
it's
happening.
actually
And there's
jargoned
hidden
up so you can't.
Yeah, it's intentionally done. And there's hidden fees. And someone who's a financial analyst, I've been reading books about this. It's like the vast, vast majority of financial experts, or like people who are there to help you, consultants, financial consultants, they do not have to do what's in your best interest.
That's right.
They
don't.
Vast majority.
Right.
It's like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack to find somebody who is actually doing what's good for you. And there's like hidden fees and even like an extra 1%, over 40 years, that's going to eat out hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially or more.
Right.
So yeah, there's just so many. The whole thing is set up so that someone like me or you fails.
Oh, even people with meager money, even middle class or upper middle class, till you reach a certain point, it's set up to just screw the consumer.
Yep. And let's get them addicted to credit cards and debt, and let's just keep them on this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Keep working your 9 to 5.
Your parents probably had a thing called layaway and bank accounts where if they wanted something, they saved their money until they could buy it.
Yeah, people don't do that anymore.
No.
What's my credit card limit again?
Well, see, it's like, you say you pay your credit cards off.
Yeah.
Now, I do unless I'm really stuck. But, I mean, it's been a long time since I haven't had a paid-off credit card.
It feels nice when it's zero balance.
The other thing, the reason you say, why do you still use a checkbook? Because with a checkbook, you can only spend the money you have to spend.
Yeah.
If at that point, you bounce the check and it comes back and but it's not like with a credit card where you can just go carte blanche and it's like, hey, get deep as debt as you want.
Just
okay
keep
with
on
us.
swiping like, it's working, still working. All right.
I learned that right after high school. I had a, what do you call the other cards when you have your own?
Debit card?
I had a debit card.
Okay.
And I went through $10,000 in about 2.5 months.
This was in high school?
Right after high school.
Okay.
I was working real hard, had a good job, and I had been saving money and all this jazz, and I burned through about 10 grand. I was having a good time.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was all my money. And then all of a sudden I said, what the hell happened to all my money? And I went back and read all the stuff I'd spent it on and said, boy, that was just the stupidest thing I've ever done.
If you'd taken that 10 grand and put it in an index fund and let it appreciate for 30,
Well,
40
if
years.
I'd even spent just 2 grand and had a nice time and kept the rest of it, But that made me, whoa.
Like maybe I need to pay more attention to
You
this.
know what that did to me too, is that made me invest in real estate. Because once it was in the house, I couldn't get to it. And it was going to increase in value. It used to be real estate was a poor man's money way, make money, and now it's the prices on houses are so high, it's not, because you don't necessarily, we were just in a bubble where all of a sudden the prices went, whoop, well, now they're all leveling back off or dropping back down again. So it's just like, the part of the recession is that the bubble was running for about 8 years and people said, hey, it's never going to burst. Let's buy the house because in 2 months we can sell it and make a huge profit. And then it burst while everybody was into it.
Yeah, and things got crazy.
When I had like I said, when I got my mortgage for my house, and I was able to get it because I was breathing.
Yeah,
They had
they're
all
giving a
those
lot of
crazy
what,
exotic
subprime?
mortgages and everything like that. And the only thing that I did differently is that I made them give me a 30-year note because they kept saying, oh, you don't want that. You don't want that. We can do so many things for you that'll keep your payments so low and all this and everything. And then I knew 5 or 8 people who actually lost their houses because their mortgage doubled and tripled in 6 months.
Wow. Oh, so it was a variable rate mortgage that they took instead of a fixed rate.
Yes, and supposedly if the
Yeah.
if the rate went down, so did your payment. If the rate went up, so did your payment. And I said, no, I don't want any of that.
And they were trying to sell you on that.
Right. Oh my God, they right till the last possible second that we were signing papers, they were trying to sell me on that idea, and I just said, nope, 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 nope.
Smart
nope.
man.
Right.
Yeah.
And here I am today, still paying for the building, and even though, you know, I still have 17 years to pay on it, I know what I need. I get it, and I pay the mortgage.
Yeah, I think knowing how to plan, like, oh, I know next month is going to be the same as, 10 years from now, I'm paying this amount of money for the mortgage.
Well, that's why I have the mortgage paid 2 months out too.
Smart.
Because I'm not going to let them do to me. I just had a new mortgage company come on, and they kept saying, "Well, why are you 2 months out?" And I said, "Don't you worry about me. Because I'm 2 months out and I'm okay, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Then don't you worry about me." Because if you get hit, you get hurt, something like that, and you at least have 2 months to freak out and figure out what to do.
Yeah, especially when you're self-employed and your income is not the same amount each
Here's
month.
my income
You don't have a
right
steady
here.
paycheck.
These 2 things. If any of this happens, I'm.
You need to get insurance on those hands. Hey, I've heard of some people doing stuff like that.
Oh, sure. Musicians, actresses, things like that have insurance on their legs. They'll
Yeah.
insure anything if you don't mind paying, through the roof for the insurance.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, no. Yeah, I've been talking to a couple friends too, and trying to figure out when you can't do this anymore, what's going to provide money. I mean, okay, if you have savings and you're getting money from savings, great. But what happens if you have to spend some of that savings down? What will replace that? Because if you got a big major medical bill or something.
Oh, yeah, you're ruined.
Yeah. So that's what as much as I keep saying about the warehouse, if I could empty the warehouse, it could start producing a steady stream of income.
You think if you rented out the rooms in the warehouse
I'd
or
rent
something?
out storage space to start with. Wouldn't have to do anything to the building, just put up some partitions and say, that's your space.
Yeah.
Because it would be low access. So it would be reasonable rates on the storage. You have to have a body come in and go with you. Or you have to make an appointment and meet the person there, but no just access with a key.
There's always a watching set of eyes.
Right.
All right, you're accessing your stuff.
Right. And you would get it for reasonable. And so I'd be charging less than other places, but what the heck?
That's something. Yeah, and you'd also sell the things that you already have there. So that's some extra money as well.
Or at least donate them. That's the trouble with all the building materials is, who do you sell all those building materials to, especially since you're in competition with all the places that recycle building materials.
Yeah, it makes it hard. Yeah, money. That is definitely. Let's start teaching it in grade school. Money and philosophy. Let's teach them both. That's my thing.
Yeah. Well, philosophy is a tough one because that's what people who are in religion think they are teaching you.
Yeah.
Except they only want you to learn their philosophy, not
Yes.
philosophy.
Correct.
Yeah, religion, I think, it's always been about how to control those who are under us, not about you.
And provides hope, okay, maybe your life isn't so great now, you surf,
but
in the
hope
future.
within our box. Only our box. We only give you hope within our box. And by the way, if you violate the code of the box, you're going to hell. So it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah. It's a good means of control. It's
how
smart.
many times have I been sitting somewhere or talking to somebody who's talking about religion and say, in a Catholic religion, if Jesus was here right now, he would call you out so badly it wouldn't even be funny. He would disavow you. He would tell you to get away from him and his people because you're doing all this crazy stuff to make other people bad in his name, and he wouldn't have it.
Oh yeah, he was the person going in there with all the scribes and Pharisees and overturning the money tables and say, "Don't make the house of my father a place of business." Basically, like, what is this?
I was with born again Christians sitting in my house one day, my next door neighbors, and we were just having a great time and everything. And then they turned the conversation to religion. And so I said, "Whoa, give me a minute here. I mean, you mean to tell me that 2/3 or 3/4 of the planet are going to hell?" And they said, "No." I said, "But if they don't accept Jesus Christ into their heart, they're going to hell." "Well, that's true." I said, "So you're telling me that 2/3 of the planet are going to hell?" "Well, they have every opportunity before they take their last breath to accept Jesus Christ into their heart, or they're going to hell." And I said, "Where is Jesus when you need him? Because if he thought that, he'd put you down right now."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, we could talk for hours about the Bible and religion, Don.
Oh yeah.
Maybe for another time.
Yeah.
But I love talking about this stuff.
Okay.
Well, Don, thank you so much for coming, man. This is really great, and it's great having awesome people to talk to, and yeah, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. And just like that,